Music is totally subjective. Your jam might be another person's torture. Instead of telling you my opinion, I've put my biases aside to figure out the best album of each year. A great album has to have a blend of commercial and critical performance. We need albums with massive sales that move the crowd, but also critical acclaim to prove that they have artistic merit. In this video, we look at the best album of each year from 2010 to 2023. 2010. The year was dominated by Taylor Swift's Speak Now. It made a huge splash when it debuted, selling 1 million copies just in its first week. It lacked the critical acclaim to be the best of the year though, as it scored 77 out of 100 on Metacritic. Arcade Fire's The Suburbs was another huge album. It was praised by the industry, scoring 88 out of 100 on Metacritic, and even winning a Grammy for Album of the Year. But the best album of the year was Kanye West's My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy. It was Kanye's redemption album after the Taylor Swift incident at the VMAs. It's the critics' all-time favorite, as it scored an astounding 91 out of 100 on Metacritic. It performed well commercially too, selling 496,000 copies just in its first week. It has now been certified 3 times platinum by the RIAA. 2011. As we moved into 2011, Lady Gaga redefined pop with Born This Way, empowering millions with anthems like the title track and Age of Glory. She made history when she sold 1.1 million copies just in the first week. It also had a decent reception from critics, getting a score of 71 out of 100 on Metacritic. Drake poured his heart out in Take Care, capturing raw emotions and vulnerabilities. The album has stood the test of time, as it is still on the Billboard 200 albums chart for its 575th week. It is one of Drake's highest rated albums, scoring 78 out of 100 on Metacritic. But of course, the best album of the year was Adele's 21. It dominated the charts, showcasing her powerful vocals and timeless songwriting. It had overwhelming commercial success, becoming the best-selling album of the decade, selling more than 30 million units. It was received well by the critics too, scoring a 76 out of 100 on Metacritic. 2012. Kendrick Lamar emerged as a rap genius with Good Kid, Mad City, offering a raw and introspective look into life in Compton. It is one of the modern classic albums and one of the best concept albums of all time. It scored an amazing 91 out of 100 on Metacritic. Mumford & Sons delivered Babel, though lacking in critical reception. It soared commercially, proving the band's mainstream appeal. It also won the Grammy for Album of the Year, but the best album of the year was Taylor Swift's Red, which saw her experimenting with new sounds while maintaining her signature country pop style. It sold really well, with first week sales of 1.2 million units, and now being certified 7 times platinum by the RIAA. It also did well with the critics, scoring 77 out of 100 on Metacritic. 2013. In 2013, Daft Punk took us on a disco-infused journey with Random Access Memories, earning praise for its innovation and nostalgia. It was one of the most critically acclaimed albums of the year, with a Metacritic score of 87 out of 100. It did well commercially too, being certified platinum by the RIAA. Justin Timberlake made a triumphant return with the 2020 Experience, serving up infectious grooves and feel-good vibes. The album ended the year as the best-selling album of 2013, moving 2.4 million units in the US. But the best album and moment of the year was when Beyoncé shocked the world with a surprise self-titled album. It showcased her artistry and willingness to take risks. It sold really well upon its release, selling 617,000 units just in its first week. Even though it was released in December, it ended 2013 in the top 10 best-selling albums of the year. It was also critically acclaimed, scoring 85 out of 100 on Metacritic. 2014 saw D'Angelo's return with Black Messiah after 14 long years. It's a soulful masterpiece that resonated with critics and fans. It is one of the most critically acclaimed albums of all time, with a Metacritic score of 95 out of 100. J. Cole's 2014 Forest Hills Drive provided a raw and introspective look into his life and journey to success. It is considered as one of the best hip-hop albums of the 2010s. It has stood the test of time, as it has now been certified 5 times platinum in the US. But the biggest and best album of the year was Taylor Swift's 1989. She continued her reign, dropping her first full pop album, cementing her status as a pop powerhouse. It is her most successful album, as it ended the year as the second best-selling album of 2014, moving 6 million records worldwide. It also did well with the critics, scoring 77 out of 100 on Metacritic. 2015. Adele made her return with 25, showcasing her powerhouse vocals and heartfelt songwriting. It had unparalleled commercial success, selling 3.4 million units in the US in its first week. It also holds the record for being the album that sold 1 million records in 3 separate weeks. It did well with the critics too, with a score of 75 out of 100 on Metacritic. Justin Bieber reinvented himself with purpose, exploring themes of redemption and growth. It was commercially successful, selling 649,000 units in its first week, and achieving 6 times platinum certification by the RIAA. The album got a favorable critical reception, which other Justin Bieber albums never get. But the best album of the year was Kendrick Lamar's To Pimp a Butterfly. He stunned the world with a politically charged and musically ambitious album that continues to inspire and provoke thought. It is considered as one of the best albums of all time, scoring an astounding 96 out of 100 on Metacritic. It also did well commercially, now certified 3 times platinum by the RIAA. 2016. Rihanna challenged conventions with Anti, showcasing her versatility and experimentation across genres. The album was a commercial success, being certified platinum just 2 days after its release. It is Rihanna's best album, scoring 73 out of 100 on Metacritic. Frank Ocean blessed us with Blonde, a deeply personal and introspective album that captivated listeners worldwide. It is a critics' and fans' favorite, scoring 87 out of 100 on Metacritic. It was also ranked number 79 on the 500 greatest albums of all time list by Rolling Stone. But the best album of the year was Beyoncé's Lemonade. It's a visual and sonic masterpiece that explored themes of love, betrayal, and empowerment. It is one of the highest rated albums of the decade, with a Metacritic score of 92 out of 100. It was also a commercial success, ending 2016 with 2.1 million units sold just in the US. 2017. Lorde matured beyond her years with melodrama. The album offered a coming-of-age narrative that resonated with listeners worldwide. It is considered as one of the best pop albums of the decade, scoring 91 out of 100 on Metacritic. It also did well commercially, being certified platinum by the RIAA. SZA captivated us with Control, blending R&B sensibilities with candid lyricism and soulful melodies. The album established her as a powerhouse, with a Metacritic score of 87 out of 100. It has now been certified 3 times platinum by the RIAA. But the best album of the year was Kendrick Lamar's Damn. He continued his reign with his most commercially appealing album. It debuted with sales of 603,000 units in its first week. It was also one of the most critically acclaimed albums of the year, scoring 95 out of 100 on Metacritic. 2018. Kacey Musgraves delivered a breath of fresh air with Golden Hour, blending country roots with pop music. It debuted on number 1 on the Billboard 200 and has a score of 89 out of 100 on Metacritic. The album also won a Grammy for Album of the Year. Cardi B burst onto the scene with Invasion of Privacy, showcasing her boldness and unapologetic attitude. It performed well upon its release, moving 255,000 units in its first week, and now being certified 4 times platinum in the US. It was also critically acclaimed, with a Metacritic score of 84 out of 100. But the best album of the year was Travis Scott's Astroworld. It was a psychedelic journey through his mind. The album debuted selling 537,000 units in its first week, and now has been certified 4 times platinum in the US. It also appealed to the critics, scoring 85 out of 100 on Metacritic. 2019. Taylor Swift returned with Lover, offering a mix of romantic themes and introspective ballads. It came out the gates, selling 867,000 units in its first week. It also has become Taylor's most streamed album, with 9.5 billion total streams on Spotify. It also had good critical reception, with a Metacritic score of 79 out of 100. Ariana Grande continued her streak with her most successful album, Thank You Next. It showcased her resilience in the face of adversity. It earned 360,000 units in its opening week and is now sitting on 7.5 billion streams on Spotify. It is also her highest rated album, scoring 86 out of 100 on Metacritic. But the best album of 2019 was Billie Eilish's debut, When We All Fall Asleep, Where Do We Go? It's a dark exploration of youth and fame. It debuted selling 313,000 units in its opening week and has now been certified 4 times platinum by the RIAA. It is a critic's darling, scoring 82 out of 100 on Metacritic. It also won the Grammy for Album of the Year. 2020. In 2020, The Weeknd blessed us with After Hours, a sonic journey through heartbreak and self-discovery. It ended the year as the 3rd best-selling album. It was also well received by critics, scoring 80 out of 100 on Metacritic. Dua Lipa brought disco back with future nostalgia, offering a vibrant and infectious soundtrack for the dance floors worldwide, which were closed at the time. The album has managed to sell more than 4.3 million units worldwide. It resonated with both fans and critics, scoring 88 out of 100 on Metacritic. But the best album of the year was Taylor Swift's Folklore. Taylor surprised us all with a stripped-back and introspective album that showcased her storytelling skills like never before. The album debuted in the US, selling 846,000 units just in its first week. It ended up becoming one of her most critically acclaimed albums, scoring 88 out of 100 on Metacritic. It also won the Grammy for Album of the Year. 2021. Adele made another comeback with 30, offering a candid and introspective look into her life. It had huge sales, debuting with 839,000 units sold in its first week. It also ended 2021 as the best-selling album. It achieved critical acclaim as well, scoring 88 out of 100 on Metacritic. Taylor Swift once again proved her dominance with Red, Taylor's Version. It's the re-recording to her classic album that delighted fans old and new. It debuted on the Billboard 200, selling 605,000 units in its first week. It also became one of her most critically acclaimed albums, scoring 88 out of 100 on Metacritic. But the best album of the year was Olivia Rodrigo's Sour. She burst onto the scene, capturing the feelings of Gen Z with raw emotion and infectious melodies. It became the most streamed album of the year, now sitting on 11 billion streams on Spotify. It also resonated with critics, with an average Metacritic score of 83 out of 100. 2022. Beyoncé continued to push boundaries with Renaissance, a bold and visionary album that showcased her evolution as an artist. It was one of the most critically acclaimed albums of the year, scoring 91 out of 100 on Metacritic. It also sold well, now certified platinum by the RIAA. SZA captivated us with SOS, offering a mesmerizing blend of R&B, soul, and experimental sounds. She dropped the album at the end of the year, so it made its impact in 2023. It resonated with both fans and critics, scoring 90 out of 100 on Metacritic. It ended 2023 as the 3rd best-selling album of the year, moving 3 million units in the US. Bad Bunny delivered Un Verano Sin Ti, a vibrant and infectious album that cemented his status as a global superstar. It has become the most streamed album of all time, with 15 billion total streams on Spotify. It also did well with the critics, with a Metacritic score of 85 out of 100. But the best album of 2022 was Taylor Swift's Midnights. It had huge sales, moving 1.5 million units just in its first week, at a time where nobody sells physical albums. It also did well with the critics, scoring 85 out of 100 on Metacritic. It also won the Grammy for Album of the Year. 2023. Olivia Rodrigo continued her meteoric rise with Guts, offering a raw and vulnerable exploration of love and loss. It debuted selling 300,000 units in its first week. It is also critically acclaimed, with a score of 91 out of 100 on Metacritic. But the best album of the year was Taylor Swift's 1989 Taylor's Version. It is a nostalgic journey through one of her most beloved and successful albums. It became the best-selling album of the year, moving 1.6 million units just in its first week. It also appealed to the critics, with a Metacritic score of 90 out of 100. What do you think of my picks? Tell me in the comments below.